All right, Shalom. First, I'd like to start by saying all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakak Wadash. Why? Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Now, this is just another update on what's going on with the whole Trump and China tariffs. It says Trump announces 50 billion in China tariffs, BBC News, right? So all Trump is doing is putting taxes on steel and aluminum, and that's angering the nations. See, it's not only pointed towards China, it's pointed towards all the nations that's trading with the U.S. in that area. So the nations are getting mad at it, man. Because they had deals and shit that they already had set up with America, and Trump is posing heavy tax on them. But all it is Trump speeding up this trying to bring to pass the prophecy where it says or just another notch in the belt of where it says in the scripture, these shall hate the whore, which is America, man, because America been doing a whole bunch of dirty shit to these nations, man. And this is just another notch in the belt, him imposing heavy taxes on the nations. So how do they retaliate? They retaliate with imposing more taxes, some of their taxes upon America, which in turn can ruin both societies, or could ruin the American society and other societies. They want to grow, so it's slowing their growing process. And when you implement taxes on the U.S. has no money to begin with, and so they ain't gonna be able to be able to pay for stuff to enter into this place anymore. And what else? They sure not gonna be able to build no real new factories, no real jobs, because they ain't got no money unless they put some more money into the system, which in turn devalues the currency and hyperinflates the system. Meanwhile, while you got that going on, all the nations are getting rid of the American currency, man. So it's a lot going on. It's a lot to it, but through spirit power, Yahweh Shema Shai, it's supposed to be going on because this place, America, has to be brought down, and what Trump doing, angering the nations, is what he's supposed to be doing, because ultimately these nations are going to shoot missiles on America because they gonna make them so mad. Because Trump gonna make them so mad, to where they was just the Lord gonna put the spirit on them. It's just gonna be a wrap for them, But we still got the Third World War that has to kick off between America and Russia. That's part of that, and then the rest of the nations who are America's allies gonna join the side of Russia, and the Lord gonna put the spirit on them to shoot the missiles upon this place. So, but this is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Right, so the Lord putting the spirit on Trump to make these moves that he's making, which is angering the nations. Okay, and in turn, the nations are going to rise up against America and destroy it with thermonuclear missiles through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore," right? And the 10 horns which were upon the beast, represents NATO and the EU. The whore represents America. It says, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right, and that's thermonuclear missiles. For the Most High hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is a great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Right, and that's talking about America. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. Right, so little events like this, the nations going back and forth with America, is prophecy, is signs that, you know, you're supposed to be paying attention to understand that soon to come America is going to be destroyed because of it. You know, because of the signs and the stuff that's going on in the media. But it's going to be a thief unto those who are not paying attention. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. Heavens is talking about America. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat, right? And everything in America is made of an element. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? And that's what us brothers that's in the truth doing, you know, having holy conversations, talking about the downfall of America, and, you know, living our life according to these scriptures, man. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh Shema Shai, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we according to his promise look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. So yeah, man, y'all go ahead and continue doing what y'all doing, man, so y'all can bring about this new heaven and this new earth, or this new heaven. It's like what it say, new heavens and a new earth, right? Wherein dwelleth righteousness, and that's our kingdom, because our kingdom is next. So, you know, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse. It says, chapter 6, verse 6. It says, then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? What should be the end of this Edomite devil society, and the beginning of Jacob's society, which represents the 12 tribes of Israel, which is the righteousness and the new heaven that 2 Peter is talking about. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right, so Esau, which represents these white people, it's the end of their world, man. And our world is next. The spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and play this, and it's going to break down what's going on in detail. And yeah, right. So I'm going to put up like 2 more clips to show you how China responded to it. So, but all right. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. This has been long in the making. You've heard many, many speeches by me and talks by me and interviews where I talk about unfair trade practices. We've lost over a fairly short period of time, 60,000 factories in our country closed, shuttered, gone. 6 million jobs at least gone. And now they're starting to come back. You see what's happening with Chrysler, with Foxconn, with so many other companies wanting to come back into the United States. But we have one particular problem, and I view them as a friend. I have tremendous respect for President Xi. We have a great relationship. They're helping us a lot in North Korea, and that's China. But we have a trade deficit, depending on the way you calculate, of $504 billion. Now, some people would say it's really $375 billion. Many different ways of looking at it, but any way you look at it, it is the largest deficit of any country in the history of our world. It's out of control. We have a tremendous intellectual property theft situation going on, which likewise is hundreds of billions of dollars, and that's on a yearly basis. I've spoken to the president, I've spoken to representatives of China. We've been dealing with it very seriously. As you know, we're renegotiating NAFTA. We'll see how that turns out. Many countries are calling to negotiate better trade deals because they don't want to have to pay the steel and aluminum tariffs. So we are negotiating with various countries. Mr. Lighthizer, Mr. Ross, we are just starting a negotiation with the European Union because they've really shut out our country to a large extent. They have barriers that they can trade with us, but we can't trade with them. They're very strong barriers. They have very high tariffs. We don't. It's just not fair. NAFTA has been a very bad deal for the United States, but we'll make it better, or we'll have to do something else. The deal we have with South Korea is a very one-sided deal. It's a deal that has to be changed. So we have a lot of things happening, but in particular with China, we're going to be doing a Section 301 trade action. It could be about $60 billion, but that's really just a fraction of what we're talking about. I've been speaking with the highest Chinese representatives, including the president, and I've asked them to reduce the trade deficit immediately by $100 billion. It's a lot. So that would be anywhere from 25%, depending on the way you figure, to maybe something even more than that. But we have to do that. The word that I want to use is reciprocal. When they charge 25% for a car to go in, and we charge 2% for their car to come into the United States, that's not good. That's how China rebuilt itself. The tremendous money that we've paid since the founding of the World Trade Organization, which has actually been a disaster for us. It's been very unfair to us. The arbitrations are very unfair. The judging's been very unfair. And knowingly, we always have a minority, and it's not fair. So we're talking to World Trade, we're talking to NAFTA, we're talking to China, we're talking to European Union. And I will say every single one of them wants to negotiate. And I believe that in many cases, maybe all cases, we'll end up negotiating a deal. So we've spoken to China, and we're in the midst of a very large negotiation. We'll see where it takes us. But in the meantime, we're sending a Section 301 action. I'll be signing it right here, right now. I'd like to ask Bob Lighthizer to say a few words about the 301 and where we are in that negotiation. And we're doing things for this country that should have been done for many, many years. We've had this abuse by many other countries, and groups of countries that were put together in order to take advantage of the United States. And we don't want that to happen. We're not going to let that happen. It's probably one of the reasons I was elected, maybe one of the main reasons, but we're not going to let that happen. We have right now an $800 billion trade deficit with the world. So think of that. So let's say we have 500 to 375, but let's say we have 500 with China, but we have 800 total with the world. That would mean that China is more than half. So we're going to get it taken care of. And frankly, it's going to make us a much stronger, much richer nation. The word is reciprocal. That's the word I want everyone to remember. We want reciprocal, mirror. Some people call it a mirror tariff or a mirror tax. Just use the word reciprocal. If they charge us, we charge them the same thing. That's the way it's got to be. That's not the way it is. For many, many years, for many decades, it has not been that way. And I will say the people we're negotiating with, smilingly, they really agree with us. I really believe they cannot believe they've gotten away with this for so long. I'll talk to Prime Minister Abe of Japan and others, a great guy, friend of mine, and there'll be a little smile on their face. And the smile is, I can't believe we've been able to take advantage of the United States for so long. So those days are over. Ambassador Lighthizer, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, for those of you who don't know, Section 301 is a statute that gives substantial power or authority to the president to correct actions in certain circumstances where there's unfair acts, policies, or practices by our trading partners. In this case, the area is technology. Technology is probably the most important part of our economy. There's 44 million people who work in high technology areas. No country has as much technology-intensive industry as the United States, and technology is really the backbone of the future of the American economy. Given these problems, the president asked USTR to conduct a study. We conducted a thorough study. We had hearings. We reviewed tens of thousands of pages of documents. We talked to many, many business people. We had testimony, as I say, and we concluded that, in fact, China does have a policy of forced technology transfer, of requiring licensing at less than economic value, at state capitalism, wherein they go in and buy technology in the United States in non-economic ways, and then finally of cyber theft. The result of this has been that the president has analyzed it. We have a 200-page study which we'll put out, and he has concluded that we should put in place tariffs on appropriate products. We can explain later how we concluded what products they are, that we would put investment restrictions on China with respect to high technology, and that we'll file a WTO case because one of the actions here does involve a WTO violation. This is an extremely important action, very significant and very important for the future of the country, really across industries. And I would really like to thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity to work on it.
Thank you very much, Ben. Secretary Ross.
Intellectual property rights are our future, and it's no accident that in June of this year, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will issue its 10 millionth patent. 10 million patents. There's no country in the history of the world that remotely approaches that. So the steel and aluminum actions we've taken deal more or less with the present. This action on intellectual property rights deals with the future. So we're trying to solve both today's problem and problems that otherwise will be forthcoming. That's why these actions are so important and so important in unison with each other. We will end up negotiating these things rather than fighting over them, in my view.
Mike Pence would like to say something.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to all our honored guests. Today's action sends a clear message that this president and our entire administration are determined to put American jobs and American workers first. The action the President will take today under Section 301 also makes it clear that the era of economic surrender is over. The United States of America is taking targeted and focused action to protect not only American jobs, but America's technology, which will power and drive an innovation economy for decades to come. It is just one more step of a promise made and a promise kept by President Trump.
So we'll sign right now. I just want to let everybody know, just for a second time, that we are in the midst of very major and very positive negotiations. Positive for the United States, and actually very positive for other countries also. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed, the leading woman's business executive in this country, according to many. And we buy billions and billions of dollars worth of that beautiful F-35. It's stealth. You cannot see it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Better be correct, right?
Absolutely.
Marilyn, please say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I would just say that this is a very important moment for our country in that we are addressing what is a critical area for the aerospace and defense industry, and that is protecting our intellectual property. As has been expressed, that is a threat to us if we have that stolen from our companies, because that is the lifeblood of our companies. And so we very much welcome this action on the part of the Trump administration and the President of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Pardon me, sir.
This is the first of many. This is number one, but this is the first of many.
All right, now look how China responds.
Right now, mix and match 2 of these delicious sandwiches for just $4. Breakfast at McDonald's.
Will damage the economic relationship between the two countries and
Firing back, China responded within hours to President Donald Trump's announcement of the tariffs. Beijing said it's planning to impose $3 billion in tariffs of its own, targeting 128 U.S. goods bound for China, focusing on agriculture, wine, fruit, nuts, and pork products, but also recycled aluminum and steel pipes. This as China vowed it will not back down from a trade war, while insisting the friction should be resolved through negotiations. If the dispute continues, China says, it could damage the broader picture of cooperation between the world's 2 largest economies. It's telling the U.S. to pull back from the brink.
it's a destructive move. China and the US are world trade leaders. I think it's going to escalate gradually. It will damage the economic relationship between the two countries, and that will have a negative impact on the global economy.
Both nations have said they're going to start legal action through the World Trade Organization. Here in China's commercial capital, Shanghai, there's growing concern over a trade war with the U.S. They're worried about jobs, and they're worried about Chinese businesses.
It may affect the employment in China, since exporting is a big part of China's economy. There's a lot of low-end industry, but many people's jobs are depending on export.
I watch a lot of news. Of course, China will fight back. The point of doing business is that we both win. It doesn't work if America is the only leader. China has to protect its own interests too.
The increased trade tension could prove to be a challenge for Chinese President Xi Jinping, who, by a measure passed during the National People's Congress earlier this month, can remain as leader indefinitely. A big trade war with the U.S. could slow China's rapid growth, critical to his long-term vision. Scott Heidler, Al Jazeera, Shanghai.
All right, so it's not only making China upset, but it's making other nations upset also.
It's a move
been putting on these nations, man.
It's a move targeting China and the lesser quality steel U.S. President Donald Trump says is flooding the American market. Foreign steel brought into the United States will be slapped with an additional fee of 25%, 10% on aluminum, all purported to protect U.S. jobs.
We're going to bring steel back.
It was a major campaign promise to steel and aluminum.
He trying to put everybody up under that spirit of make America great again, but that's not gonna happen, man. America's greatness and Hall of Fame or time to reign, and however you want to say it, is over. Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? The nations have drunk in America's philosophies, man. That's why them Arabs is fighting so hard, because they don't want no democracy in their country. These other nations is upset because of America's monetary system. Britain's bringing their economies down. A lot of their economies are basically going bankrupt and stuff, because of the American dollar. So they pushing that currency away now. That's why they formed the BRICS nation, and all these little packs and stuff to where they can trade amongst each other and exclude America. But it says, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed, right? And balm is like a healing ointment. America, the presidents of America have been putting more money into the system, which they're trying to heal America, but it's not going to work. It's not working. Donald Trump is not going to help America, be great again. It's over for America. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up unto the skies. Right, so America's judgment is here, and that's for America to be destroyed ultimately. A lot of these nations are heathens are fleeing back into their own land, and they're taking all of their business and stuff with them. So just because America taxing them and all the extra shit, all that's gonna be cut off soon. So.
Workers in states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and helped Trump win the White House. And while Trump has singled out China, it isn't even in the top 10 among steel exporters to the United States. According to the U.S. Commerce Department, it's Canada that ranks number 1 at 16% of all exports to the U.S., while China is at number 11, responsible for less than 2% of the steel imported into the United States.
The U.S. adopting anti-dumping and anti-subsidy tariffs in hundreds of cases of imported steel and aluminum products is to protect their domestic products. If all countries imitate the U.S. approach, then this would have a serious impact on the global trade order.
Fears of a global trade war have sent world financial markets into uncertainty. And on Twitter, Trump defended his position, arguing that trade wars are good and easy to win. That trade war appears underway. Canada, Mexico, China, Australia, Brazil, and the European Union are all threatening retaliatory measures against U.S. products.
This is not something we wanted to see, and we will continue to engage with all levels of the American administration in the coming days so that they understand that this proposal is unacceptable.
We will not sit idly while our industry is hit with unfair measures that put thousands of European jobs at risk. The EU will react firmly and commensurately to defend our interests.
One of Europe's largest appliance manufacturers, Electrolux, says as a result of Trump's announcement, it is delaying an investment of more than $250 million in the U.S. state of Tennessee. It appears that Trump's tariffs, designed to save American jobs in the industrial sector, now putting other U.S. jobs at risk. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
All right. Double honors to the elders and apostles that were well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.